Hey everybody, welcome to Doodles Bakes. My name's Kirsten, and I'm a happy home baker. Being in the kitchen and creating delicious food for the people I love is one of my greatest joys, and that's why I have created this YouTube channel as an extension of my Instagram account, which you can check out from the link below. I know there are a lot of hard things going on in the world right now, but any way that we can share joy and spread positivity is something that I want to get behind. So if you like cooking or you're interested in it and you want to use the ingredients that you already have in your own kitchen and you're not afraid to get a little creative with what you have, then this channel is for you. Hit the like button, click subscribe to see all my new content, check out my Instagram account, and let's get baking. So today I'm going to make some strawberry scones because I was wandering around Chiswick and I found some really lovely fresh strawberries, and they were really small and not quite as juicy as I wanted them to be, so I thought that they'd be good in some sort of baked item. I don't have a recipe written out and I'm not really following one, but I'm going to go by feel and see how it goes. So I have about 500 grams of flour here. I think that works out to about roughly 4 cups. And I have it kind of dumped into my sifter here. And I have like a generous pinch of pink Himalayan sea salt and about a teaspoon of baking powder. This is self-raising flour. And I'm adding a teaspoon of baking powder because I really want them to be risen. I have a half a tablespoon of just white sugar here. The strawberries have plenty of sugar in them, so I don't need that much. And instead of milk, I'm going to be adding some evaporated milk. I have some cold cubed unsalted butter here. And special ingredient, I'm going to add probably about 70 grams of my cold sourdough discard starter. Not for a rise for the yeast component, but rather for a really nice, complex, tangy flavor. First things first, I'm going to sift together my self-raising flour and my salt and baking powder. My parents know that I love baking and it's quickly becoming my main hobby. And so for my 27th birthday, they gave me this cute little flour sifter and I'm really happy about it. Anything I can sift, I sift. So there's my sifted flour, salt, baking powder, and sugar. Next thing I'm going to do is dump in my cold butter. I think I will go ahead and add in my sourdough starter now. If you have your sourdough starter in the fridge, like I do, this is my sourdough discard. So instead of actually throwing away my starter when I feed it, I just chuck it into a jar, keep it in the fridge, and that's my sourdough discard that I use for crackers, for scones, for pancakes, for all sorts of things. So you want to give it a nice stir so that the liquid that forms on top of it is fully incorporated. And I'm not really going to measure it. I'm just going to do a nice couple of tablespoons. Literally tablespoons, not an actual measured out tablespoon. A spoon that I use at my table. Now when we get our hands messy, I'm just going to coat the butter first so that the butter is like just coated lightly in flour. And then once it's all fully coated, I'm just going to start to smoosh it. I think it should be an actual baking term because sometimes there's just no other word that works except for smoosh. Smoosh, smoosh, smoosh. And you don't have to be too scientific here. You just want to make sure that all the butter is fully coated with flour. It's okay if you have some flattened discs of the flour. it will help the flakiness in the end. With things like scones or biscuits, you don't really want to work it too much, because the more you work it, I think the tougher the texture will be. Okay, time to add some evaporated milk, and I'm just gonna do a dollop, technical term. That's 1 dollop, maybe 2 dollops. Before I get my hands messy again, I'm adding a whole nother tablespoon of sourdough discard. Because I could tell when I was working it with my hands that it just was really dry, so I think 1 more spoon of discard won't hurt. It will just add to the flavor. Okay, and I'm just working that in, trying to get everything hydrated. Yep, adding more evaporated milk. 1, 2. So if anyone's counting, that's 6 dollop pours of my evaporated milk. Starting to feel a little bit better. It's just enough to stick together. Make some room on my counter here. This is a messy process, and just kind of dump it out. Bring it there. It will be going back into this bowl to rest for like half hour in the fridge maybe. But I just kind of want to fold it into itself to hydrate all that flour. Some people might call this kneading, but I'm really just kind of gathering all the stuff that I put in that bowl into one clump. I'm trying to get it to stick together. I want to add as little liquid as I can because I don't want these to be really dense like cake. I want them to be flaky, crumbly, delicious. See, it's kind of clumping together much better than it was when I first dumped it out. It's a little bit of a workout here. Now that I have it hydrated enough, I'm going to add my strawberries in handfuls. So there's 1 handful. Start to combine it a little bit. The strawberries will add to the moisture. I'm okay if it kind of turns a little bit pink and some of the strawberries are smooshed. Again, I'm not trying to knead it and make it into a smooth dough. I just want to thoroughly combine everything. I'm okay if it's crumbly at this point. You can already feel at this point how much moisture those strawberries carry. And I'm packing this dough full of strawberries. Shaping it into a bit of a disc here, scooping it all up, popping it back in the bowl. And now I'm just going to let it rest for about a half hour. It looked like a lot of work of combining it all together, but it's a really quick recipe. As long as you have all your ingredients set out and ready to go, I'd say that takes about 10 minutes. Then you just wait, and then we're going to bake them. So the dough has been resting for about 30 minutes. It's ready to be rolled slightly thinner and then chopped up and put in the oven. So I'm just going to gently dump it out onto a heavily floured surface, using my fingers to just kind of work it out of the bowl. Should come out pretty easily. So normally with sourdough starter you want to leave it to rise and ferment for a lot longer, but I'm just looking for that tangy flavor. I'm not really looking for a rise or anything else. So I just left it for about 30 minutes. So before I get to rolling, I'm going to flip it over, wipe some flour there, and I'm going to put more flour on top so that it really doesn't stick to my rolling pin. Gently roll it out a little bit more. Ooh. I want it to be kind of in a rectangular shape if possible. There we go. That's about half an inch thick. Maybe it's an inch thick. I'm gonna go for triangles. Ooh, I can smell the strawberries. They smell great. So, how should I do this? I think I'm gonna try and get 12 small scones out of this. So first I'm gonna cut in half. I don't have a scone cutter shape. So I'm literally just gonna go for it. I did one cut down the center, and I'll do thirds here, and then I'll go for triangles. Okay, those are nicely cut into triangles. I don't have a great baking dish for them, but I have a couple of quiche dishes that belonged to my grandmother, so they seem to do really well with flaky pie crusts and things like that. I guess they transfer the heat in the right way, so I hope they'll do the same for my scones. Using the knife to kind of separate things out. There's my scones. I awkwardly didn't have enough for 3 little guys. I have just a little bit of my evaporated milk left over, so I'm going to brush the top of my scones with some of that. You could also do an egg wash, or with a little bit of olive oil, maybe not traditional, but, or some butter, melted butter. Or just plain old milk. Whatever you have is just fine. While I was rolling and cutting my scones, I had my oven preheating to 170 degrees Celsius, 350 Fahrenheit if that's your style. So by the time I get done putting a little bit of milk on these, they will be ready to go directly into the hot oven. Okie dokie, artichoke. Now I have just a little bit of my white granulated sugar. I'm just going to sprinkle the tops. Done. They're ready to go in. So I'm gonna let these bake for 15 to 20 minutes until they're well risen and a little bit golden brown on top. Well, I have the last 3 little awkward scones in the oven, and the first batch came out really nicely. I already ate a few crumbs and they're delicious. I'm really excited about how they turned out. While those last 3 are in the oven, I'm just going to whip up a little bit of vanilla whipped topping. I don't have any cream, so I have a little bit of mascarpone cheese left over, and of course my evaporated milk. So I'll whip that up with a little bit of vanilla bean paste, and that's going to be our creamy topping for our delicious scones. Into the bowl is going 2 tablespoons of mascarpone cheese. I like mascarpone cheese because it has a subtle sweetness to it. It's very silky and sweet. We will use the rest of this, which I'll measure out to see how much it is. 1 tablespoon. 2 tablespoons. Half a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste. It'll take a minute for the evaporated milk and the cheese to come together. It'll look kind of scrambled and separated at first, but with enough whisking, anything can be fixed. It's nice, but I think I want a little bit more of a tangy flavor to go along with the sourdough. So I'm going to add a little bit of cream cheese as well. We'll go for a heaping tablespoon and a half. Let's taste it. Tangy, vanilla-y, slightly sweet, delicious. This will go really well with the scones. And the 3 little guys are out of the oven. So that's it. Delicious soft cheese cream, yummy sourdough discard strawberry scones. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you give it a try yourself. And if you do give it a try, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your own adventure. See you next time around on Doodles Bakes.